Time now to go inside out as we welcome in our SNY NFL insider, Connor Hughes. Connor, we just heard what Joe Douglas said about the JFM trade. What went into this move?
It's exactly what Joe Douglas said. This was strictly financial. This was not a situation where JFM was a disgruntled player. This wasn't a situation where the Jets viewed JFM, just 27 years old, as a declining player. He was a wildly respected player within the locker room. He was incredibly productive within Jeff Ulbricht's defense as a force at defensive end in running situations, and then a pass rushing presence as defensive tackle in passing situations. The Jets just didn't have the money to pay both him and Hassan Reddick, because trading him free $7.3 million. That's $7.3 million they're going to need to pay their draft class, and also still have some financial means to add veterans here now that the NFL draft is over. But it's a bummer. I mean, you heard Joe Douglas talk pretty somberly about it. The Jets love him. JFM loves the Jets. You wish they could have worked it out, but unfortunately, there's not enough money to go around.
Well, now to this year's draft, Jordan Travis was the most interesting of the Jets' day 3 picks. What led the Jets to this addition?
Yeah, he's actually the player drafted by both the Jets and Giants that I'm most excited about. You know, we talked to Joe Douglas before the draft, and he said he wanted to turn New York into a quarterback factory similar to what the Packers were in the late 90s, early 2000s. Essentially have a consistent pipeline of passers that you develop either to be your guy or eventually flip for draft compensation that was better than what you used on them. And that's Jordan Travis. This is what this guy is. I talked to Joe Douglas shortly after the draft, and he actually told me that he believed that if Travis had stayed healthy and not fractured his leg late in the season there when he was receiving some Heisman hype, 2,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, he would have been at worst an early 3rd round pick, most likely late 2nd rounder. So you get that kind of caliber of a player in your system. You're now going to get a chance to develop him, have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers, also have him sit behind Tyrod Taylor, 2 very, very experienced players. And then maybe in a couple years, he can take over as this team starter. But this is now a chance for the Jets to do what they did not do with Zach Wilson, which is get somebody in this building where you love the talent, the arm strength, the accuracy, the person, develop him, don't put any pressure on him, and when he's ready, he can take over.
Yeah, loved watching him in college. We'll hear from Travis coming up later in the show. Switching gears to the Giants, let's take a look at the roster additions they made on Saturday. The Giants only had 3 picks in day 3 because of the Brian Burns and Isaiah Simmons trades. They were able to add a tight end and a much-needed running back after losing Saquon Barkley in this offseason. Well, Connor, like I said, we just saw what the Giants did day 3. The draft has now come and gone, and they did not address the quarterback situation. Does that surprise you at all?
No, after the first round where those 6 quarterbacks went and ending with Bo Nix, there really wasn't a quarterback there that was going to be worth the investment for what the Giants need. They're not in a situation like the Jets where they can afford to draft somebody, have him sit behind Daniel Jones for a couple of years, and then maybe take over as the starter. When the Giants made such an aggressive push to try to get Drake May, it signaled the end or the eventual end of Daniel Jones's tenure. You can tell that Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen are pretty much done with this guy. It's just a matter of getting the replacement in here. Spencer Rattler, he's not that guy. Jordan Travis, he's not that guy. There really isn't a player there that the Giants were going to be willing to or should invest a 2nd round pick, a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick in. So instead what they did, as Joe Schoen said in his pre-draft press conference, this was not a roster that was a player or 2 away from being a legitimate title contender. So what his focus was on when he realized he wasn't going to get the right quarterback was he started focusing on acquiring players that are going to contribute from day 1 for the Giants. And that's what he did. You look at his first 4 picks, and you can make the argument that all 4 players are going to have a role on the Giants, potentially 3 of the 4 a starting role on the Giants this coming season.
Well, now talking Giants and Jets big picture. Out of all the day 3 picks, we know what you just said about Jordan. Who do you think will make the biggest impact this season?
For the Giants, I was a little critical of it after the draft, and that's just from talking to conversations with people. With Theo Johnson, the tight end out of Penn State, somebody that has all of the measurables you want: 6'6", 250 pounds, runs like a wildebeest out there, an athleticism score of 87, 2nd best among all tight ends. Everything you want, you just flip on the tape. And a tight end coach told me it is underwhelming at best. An offensive coordinator told me he just doesn't make plays on the field or enough plays on the field for his size. But now the Giants are going to get get him in their building, get him some NFL coaching, and see if they can't bring out that physical attributes and get him to really thrive on the field. And with Darren Waller considering retirement, there's an opportunity there for him to make a role. And for the Jets, it's Braylon Allen, the running back. You know, we always talk about what Breece Hall is going to do. He's going to be the workhorse, the bell cow, but he's going to need to be complimented at some point. When Allen brings physicality, he is a beast, a downhill runner, a change of pace back, the thunder to Breece Hall's lightning. I really do believe that those two can play off each other quite well.